Welcome to Drill Down Earnings. We have quarterly results from Qualcomm. The market first loved these numbers and hated these numbers. Let's dig into the business story behind these numbers to understand what's going on with this stock. I'm Cory Johnson, Chief Market Strategist for Epistrophy Capital Research. And this is the fiscal fourth quarter for Qualcomm. The market was looking for $9.9 billion in revenues and $2.56. They got a lot more, $10.2 billion in revenues and $2.59 of diluted earnings per share. That's diluted, not diluted. They're not crazy at Qualcomm. No, they're pretty smart guys, and you can see it in the numbers. The sales are recovering here, a really strong growth, 19% year-over-year growth on the back of a lot of their businesses are doing well. Let's dig into it a little bit further here. So the margin's really good, very profitable business with 25% operating margins. Love that. This is a smartphone business still. Yes, they're making pushes into PCs, and their automotive business is doing quite well. Of course, they've sponsored the Mercedes team, and for those F1 fans out there. And their Internet of Things business is doing just fine. But look, the smartphone business is growing nicely at 12%. It's 60% of our overall revenues, growing at 12% year over year, just about the same as it was last quarter. Now, whether that's replacements or an actual recovery into growth in the smartphone business, we don't know. But overall, this is a really strong quarter for this company. The automotive also doing really well, $899 million in revenues. And while it wasn't growing as fast on a year-over-year basis, you can look at the numbers. I mean, this thing is just growing, not so much because car sales are growing, but because the content amount, the number of semiconductors in cars as cars get smarter, is increasing greatly, especially the smart devices coming from Qualcomm. Now, I mentioned the stock performance is really weird. Stock shot straight up. Company in their prepared remarks, talking about in their press release, talking about returning capital to shareholders, talking about buying back shares, paying dividends. And then they filed a prospectus with the SEC, allowing them at some unknown date in the future to go out and either sell debt securities, preferred stock, depository shares, common stock, warrants, all of it. No specific plans to do it, but they filed what's called a shelf registration. And the result was the stock that had been way up on after hours started selling off, only up about 4%. When it all came said and done. But for the year, the stock's up 44%. Big move in this company that's really not seeing great benefits from data center build out and AI, the thing that's driving so many other semiconductor stocks. Now, they have high hopes for the future of compute and AI on the edge in using their Snapdragon chips, whether it's going to be in PCs or it's going to be in smarter phones. Really neat ideas about apps that redesign themselves for the user on your phone in a new kind of modern way of doing compute, all powered by these Qualcomm phones. Could be coming in the future. It's not happening right now, but we see these orders coming in at an increasing pace. As I mentioned, that 12% growth in their smartphone business. Here's what the CEO, Cristiano Amon, had to say on the conference call today.
Content is increasing. The premium tier is expanding in the market that it kind of normalized, and we don't see much of the inventory dynamics we used to see. So I think speaks a little bit to the strength of our product roadmap. I think the launch of new products from customers in China, but more important is this trend that the mix are really improving.
So there's Cristiano Amon, very bullish about the future and even the present for Qualcomm at the end of their fiscal year here. But what's the one number that tells us a whole lot, and what's the sort of summary, the takeaway that you want to have of these numbers? So think about this. Qualcomm reporting Q3 earnings. The numbers really good with a 19% increase in revenues on a year-over-year basis. Very specifically, over $10 billion in revenues for their final fiscal quarter of the year. Pretty strong thing. But I think the thing that really jumps out is the growth in the automotive business. It's only about 15% of revenues, but it's growing fantastically. It was up 68% in this quarter. That's the one number that tells us a whole lot. 68% growth in the automotive business for Qualcomm with promise of lots more to come. All right, thanks for checking out Drill Down Earnings. I'm Cory Johnson.